Okay, so good morning to everyone. This is now the second part of our discussion for today for this asynchronous session. And for today, we will simply be talking about the ICT policies and issues and its implications to teaching and learning. Well, para sa lesson or discussion natin for today, pag-uusapan natin ngayon kung ano nga ba yung mga possible na legal basis and kung ano nga ba yung mga iba't ibang ways na kung paano nga ba unti-unti na-develop ang mga ICT policies sa pagdating dito sa ating bansa. Kasi kung i-recall natin when it comes to our discussion, when it comes to the first lesson, isa dun sa mga key understanding dapat ng mga teachers tsaka ng mga estudyante are the concepts and the delivery on how ICT will be utilized. Remember, there are different rights. We have freedom of expression. Kaso kadalasan nakakalimutan natin dito yung responsibilities na kaakibat ng iba't ibang mga rights and freedom na ito. So for this chapter, ito po yung pag-uusapan natin before we have a deep dive sa iba pang mga examples ng technologies na maaari natin magamit kapag tayo ay mga teachers na. Okay? And probably, these are the different things na kinakailangan nyo ring matandaan bilang mga estudyante. Kasi syempre, ang ICT policies po ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga future teachers, kundi rin para sa lahat ng mga estudyante na meron kayo, magkakaroon kayo, and mga estudyante na kasama ninyo ngayon. Now, there are different types of, sabihin natin na policies or issues pagdating kay ICT. Ano nga ba yung iba't ibang mga policies na ito? So when it comes to the definition muna, when it comes to the term policy is basically defined as a course and plan of action to guide decisions and to achieve outcome. Ito po yung mga sinusunod natin na mga basic understanding para mas lalo nating ma-deliver ang isang certain type of goal na kinakailangan po natin na ma-achieve. So these different types of ICT policies is actually present or existing to provide that certain type of roadmap or course of action na kinakailangan ma-adapt ng bawat isang member ng um, educational system. Okay, specifically, para mas maging contextualize ang definition natin. It is not only about the government or different organizations, but it's for the whole community or anyone, any entities na gumagamit ng ICT. So, whenever we are considering here the presence of how ICT policies are actually being created, it basically covers these three different facets. Nandito po yung mga most um, advanced or sabihin natin na mga contemporary types of technologies na maaari po nating ma-harness na kasama dito sa mga policies na mapag-uusapan po natin. It involves telecommunication, broadcasting, and even yung presence nga po na tinatawag din natin na the internet. So whenever we are talking about these new ICT technologies, they can be specified or generalized utilizing these different groups. So nandito po yung tinatawag natin na information technology that involves the presence of the computers, then at the same time the different softwares na available pagdating sa kanila. Then, when it comes to the telecommunication technologies, nandito naman yung cellphones, mga broadcasting media, the utilization ng TV, radio, kung may pa mga gumagamit sa inyo ng radio, presence of Spotify, for instance, para sa mga podcast. Then, there's also the presence of networking technologies na ito na yung mga nagko-connect sa atin when it comes to the World Wide Web or the actual internet. It could be through the presence of mobile phone technology. It could be the presence of the different, um, sabihin natin na laptop applications, the MOBA games na ginagamit ninyo, and even yung utilization or creation na rin ng iba't iba pang mga sites na nakakapag-permit para magkaroon tayo ng proper na networking with other individuals from different parts of the world. So ito po yung iba't ibang mga new technologies that we can actually utilize nowadays na pasok dito sa iba't ibang mga policies na ito na kapag hindi nga po natin nasunod or kapag hindi natin proper na ginawa itong mga rights natin, we could actually violate and provide or create some issues in the long run. So when it comes to the presence of um, the understanding po natin regarding how ICT is being utilized in education, meron po ditong ibinigay ang SIMEO na members ng Southeast Asian countries na kung saan ang mga Southeast Asian countries ay na-categorize in different, sabihin natin na iba't ibang mga groups. So, nandito po yung mga group 1, and nandito yung group 2, and nandito yung group 3. Ang group 1, it involves all of those, sabihin natin na countries in Southeast Asia that ICT is actually being maximized in their curriculum, na ma-maximize po ito sa kanilang mga classroom, and it's subsidized by the government. Group 1 involves or include Brunei and Malaysia. Wala po dito ang Pilipinas. Because sa Pilipinas, we're actually included on group number 2, where we are transitioning with the use of ICT. And while we are transitioning sa bagay na to, dumating po dito yung integration ng paggamit ng ICT with the Department of Information and Communication Technology. Nakipag-tie up sila with DepEd and CHED para makapag-formulate kayo ng roadmap or mga policies na magagamit natin para magkaroon ng regulation and enhancement of ICT pagdating sa mismong curriculum or sa mismong bansa natin. At ito yung tinawag natin na roadmap known as ICT for Education, which is one of the programs that will support the sectors um, of education, okay? Sector of education para mag-incorporate yung use of ICT in learning and at the same time in the teaching process. So bukod kay ICT for E or ICT for Education na roadmap ng DICT, bago po ito ma-conceptualize, meron pa po ditong iba't ibang mga prerequisite na sabihin natin na plans, okay? Mga prerequisite na mga programs na nagawa bago nagkaroon ng ICT for Education. So, nandito po yung tinatawag natin na the Community E-Learning Program or E-Center Program. Na itong Community E-Center Program na to is actually a type of policy na nagpo-provide ngayon ng access to ICT resources, telecommunications, and internet access sa iba't ibang mga schools sa bansa, especially yung mga public schools. This provide that internet connectivity for public high school students, and at the same time, it could provide training para sa mga teachers, pati na rin sa kanilang mga estudyante na maaari ma-maximize nga dito yung paggamit ng mga computer laboratory. Then, there's also the plan known as the National Broadband Plan. Na, ang National Broadband Plan naman, ito yung possible na narinig na niyo sa balita na um, makapagbigay ng wide access of internet connectivity sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas. Pero ilang mga municipalities pa lang and cities ang mga nakakasunod dito. For instance, ang QC. Okay? Ang Quezon City, meron po silang mga available na free wifi sa mga major establishments. Okay? That you are just going to sign up your phone, then makakapag-internet ka na. Makakaroon ka ng browsing of internet for at least 1 hour or 30 minutes. Okay? So, ito pong access na to when it comes to those different types of internet sources, ang isa sa mga goal ng DICT. Pero medyo mahirap mangyari pagdating sa ating bansa. Bakit? Because first and foremost, we are an archipelagic country. Kaya po yung implementation nito usually it is happening per municipality or per city. Okay? Kaya nga po, I'm not sure kung meron na dito sa Nasa Del Monte, but in Quezon City, it is quite plausible kapag pupunta ako minsan sa mga malls doon or some locations, nakakasagap ako sa free wifi ng Quezon City. So, I am maximizing my stay. So, yun po yung ilan sa mga gusto nilang mangyari. Then, there is also the presence of the Last Mile Initiative. Ang Last Mile Initiative, it is actually a point of view coming from the government na kahit nasaan ka mapanig ng Pilipinas, ikaw man ay nasa urban area or nasa rural area, kailangan ng mga individuals na to ay marunong gumamit ng ICT, marunong gumamit ng phone, marunong gumamit or merong access sa internet. Yun po yung gusto nilang mangyari when it comes to the Last Mile Initiative. And this is actually a good thing since we would like to integrate technology when it comes to teaching and learning. And hopefully, kung mangyayari man ito, everyone will have the equal and same access pagdating sa bagay na ito. Okay? So those are some of the things na unti-unting na-develop bago nagkaroon ng ICT for Education or ICT 4E. Kasi ang ICT 4E, meron pa itong iba't ibang mga indicators or iba't ibang mga ways para mas lalo natin maging concretized or mas lalong sabihin natin na um, ito yung mga prerequisites kasi ng mga activities bago talaga natin ma-achieve itong ICT for education. So, it actually involves seven different facets. So, nandito po yung tinatawag na ICT in Education Master Plan na noong 2005 pa lang, nag-start ng gumawa ng National Framework for ICT para magkaroon nga ito ng application when it comes to education. Okay? Yung pagdadagdag ng mga computer classes, it actually started noong 2005 pa. Ang reason kung bakit nga ba mayroong mga computer classes, yung mga elementary students, pati yung mga high school students, kung paano sila matutong magkaroon ng mag-type, um, kung paano sila gagamit ng software or hardware when it comes to a desktop computer, ay related po dito kay ICT in Education Master Plan. Actually, during my case, una ako nakagamit ng computer sa school nung ako ay nasa high school na. Okay? Pero supposedly, dapat elementary pa lang, exposed na yung mga estudyante sa kung paano nga ba yung paggamit ng iba't ibang mga applications dito. Dati nga yung ginagamit pa namin na application is um, it starts with letter V. Nakalimutan ko na. Pero hindi Windows yung ginagamit namin during that time. Kaya iba rin yung um, OS, iba rin yung mga ginagamit namin dito na Word, Excel. Kaya nung college, nung ito na yung pinaka-common, ito na yung pinaka-prominent, ito na yung minamaximize namin when it comes to the use of this particular technology. Kaya ngayong generation namin, it is known as the um, digital immigrants. Kasi we are not exposed dun sa mga makabagong technology nung kabataan namin. Okay? Then, we also have here the presence of what we are calling as the Content and Application Development through the Open Content in Education Initiative or the OCEI. Ito pong part na to is actually to promote web-related content pagdating sa education na hindi po ito basta-basta sabihin natin na ipinagdadamot lang ng iba't ibang mga individuals. And that's actually one of the reasons kung bakit in my case, hindi ko po ipagdadamot itong presentation ko. Because I created this presentation as a tool for teaching and at the same time, I'm also using these presentations as a tool for you guys to learn. Kasi syempre, iba pa rin ang dating ng hindi lang tayo basta-basta nagtuturo lang o hindi lang ako nagbibigay ng discussion sa klase. Hindi lamang handouts yung hawak-hawak ninyo, kundi there's also the presentation that you can use para mas lalo natin sabihin na ma-concretize yung learning ninyo. And at the same time, magkaroon din kayo dito ng perspective regarding the summary of the lessons na meron tayo. Okay? Then the next one, there's also the presence of PedNet. So ang PedNet, it is actually a digital collection of learning contents. Actually, you can search this online. Obviously, wala lang ako internet during this time. But you can do this because it is actually approved by them and it can actually be accessed by the teachers and at the same time by the learners. When it comes to the presence of this case, it is actually maximizing now the capacity of the students and at the same time the capacity of every stakeholders in the school para sila ay matuto. Okay? So, this is now a digital collective ng iba't ibang mga applications nga and mga materials na maaaring magamit. Then there is also the presence of the community e-learning centers called Eskwela for out-of-school youth. Ito pong Eskwela na to is actually providing now that avenue para kahit yung mga estudyante na out-of-school youth or hindi po sila talaga enrolled or wala sila sa mga formal schooling, sila ay makapag-provide ngayon ng quality education. Then, there is also the presence of equality program. Ang equality program naman is now designed for tertiary education and SUCs pagdating po sa ating bansa. So this is now to provide quality and improvement pagdating sa IT education or information technology. Kaya nga po nagkaroon din ng boom during our time ng pagkakaroon ng information technology as a course because it became significant lalo na po pagdating sa bagay na to. Because ICT roadmap nga po natin, gusto natin na from start to end, ang mga estudyante natin ay meron ng ICT skills. Then, there's also the presence of digital media arts program. So, a digital arts program naman po, digital media arts program, ito provided a new perspective sa kung paano nga ba natin maaaring ma-express sa sarili natin through the online or the digital media. So, it is utilized by a lot of SUCs. And even ito nga rin po ay nagagamit as a form of applications pagdating na rin po sa mga IT students natin, sa mga graphics design ng mga students, and to anyone na gustong or creative enough or merong sabihin natin na patience and passion for this certain type of craft. And lastly, there's also the presence of the ICT Skills Strategic Plan. So the ICT Strategic Plan, it is actually a design recommendation para do sa lahat ng mga gaps pagdating sa paggamit ng ICT. So this skills integration or strategic plan, syempre ay kinakailangan po natin na magawa para alam natin kung ano nga ba yung mga gaps or yung mga pagkukulang pagdating po sa bagay na to. Is it enough to utilize ICT sa mga gantong discussions or kulang pa? Is it provided enough competence para sa mga estudyante natin or hindi din natutugunan yung mga kinakailangan natin? Ito yung parang evaluation ng buong ICT for education. They are now providing this certain type of point of view na malaman nila kung saan yama or kung paano pa sila mas lalong mag-i-improve. Okay, so those are some of the concepts pagdating po dito kay ICT for Education. Then, this particular roadmap ay tina-target po yung iba't ibang mga skills pagdating sa mga bagay na to. Kasi syempre, hindi lamang po tayo tungkol lang sa ICT skills. Hindi lamang puro computer ang kinakailangan po matutunan ng mga estudyante natin. But this strategic roadmap is actually targeting this different competence. It is targeting the English competence, it is utilized to strengthen and to keep competitive advantage, lalo na dun sa mga individuals who would like to go to the BPO market. Because the Philippines is one of the largest members of the BPO market. So why not tap in pagdating po dito sa bagay na ito? And please take note, guys, as future educators, there is nothing wrong when it comes to this particular market. Ang BPO po ay nagbibigay ng napakalaking tax pagdating po sa ating bansa na nagagamit ng bawat isa sa atin and even us sa mga nasa SUCs. Okay? It's actually good to consider this particular market. So we should never antagonize or hindi po dapat mababa yung tingin natin sa mga call center or BPO agents. Because a lot of those individuals are actually quite equipped pagdating po dito sa mga bagay na hinihingi ng ICT for education. Especially when it comes to the English competency. Then there's also the industry certification that this particular certification is being utilized to provide now kung meron na nga bang necessary na competence ang mga human resources para dun sa mga individuals na natuto gamit ang TESDA at iba't iba pang mga technical educational um, services na pinoprovide ng mismong government natin. So this industry certification, nandito yung mga NCs, okay? Na kasi tandaan, once again, at the end of the day, ang mga um, technology ay hindi lamang po tungkol sa ICT lang. Okay? Meron po tayong mga national competence or national certificates pagdating sa kanila. Kaya po, nandito yung industry certification. And there's also the idea po ng strategic roadmap na to provide career advocacy programs. Because these career advocacy programs are now being utilized para po mas lalo natin ma-maximize kung ano-ano nga ba yung iba't ibang mga um, sabihin natin na kinakailangan pa ng mga ICT job seekers. Ano pa nga ba yung mga sabihin natin na Google certificate, Microsoft certificate, yung po mga yan. Yun yung ilan sa mga involved pagdating sa bagay na to. For us to know if an individual is equipped with the knowledge para gamitin ang um, ideas na ito. Okay, so that's the thing when it comes to career advocacy programs. So, in the case of the different ideas po natin when it comes to the utilization of ICT and internet policies when it comes to education, meron po tayo ditong iba't iba mga global issues na in-expect na kinakailangan po natin kaharapin. And these are actually some of the challenges pagdating po sa ICT in education. Um, Unang-una, meron po tayong issues dito regarding the access to the use of the internet. That's one of the problems. Then the second problem naman po, kung meron ng access yung ibang mga individuals, may concern naman tayo dito regarding the presence of civil liberties. So ano na nga ba yung iba't ibang mga rights na maaari pong mabiolate sa atin kapag pinag-uusapan po natin itong mga issues when it comes to ICT and internet policies? So, una yung access when it comes to the use of internet kasi hindi nga po lahat ng mga individuals ay merong access sa internet. And that's a reality. Even here in the Philippines, kahit nasa Del Monte tayo, hindi naman lahat ay parating merong data. Hindi lahat ay merong dispensable data pagdating sa bagay na ito. Just like in my case. That's one of the reasons why I also opted to utilize the asynchronous session because there is no access for me. Okay? If there's no access when it comes to my case, paano pa kaya yung ilan sa mga students natin? Okay? Now, another consideration po na magiging concern din natin dito na pag-uusapan natin later on are the concepts of infringement of civil liberties or human rights. Kasi syempre, meron po tayong iba't ibang mga batas lalo na sa cyberspace na maaring maging concerning lalo-lalo na pagdating doon sa bagay na ito. Kapag ginagamit na po natin ang technology and meron na tayong ibang mga individuals na involved pagdating sa um, concepts which are actually involving with the use of technology. So ano na nga ba itong mga issues na ito? So the first issue actually focused on the freedom of expression and at the same time censorship. Okay? Remember that the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights provides that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Likewise, the right to freedom of opinion and expression. However, there are practices that violate these provisions in the use of the internet. Specifically, when it comes to the idea of the freedom of expression and censorship, kinakailangan po natin na magkaroon dito ng concern regarding the presence of um, sabihin na po natin na responsibilities regarding those individuals sa makakausap po natin. Okay? Pumapasok po dito yung concept natin regarding libel and even slander. Those are some of the concerns po natin when it comes to how we are utilizing this certain type of freedom of expression to everyone. Okay? And the idea of censorship. Ano nga ba yung mga information that we could provide online? And what are the things that we could actually maximize pagdating po sa bagay na ito? Okay? So pagdating po dito sa issues po natin regarding um, forms of defamation, for instance, and even nga yung issue natin regarding the different things that you are actually posting online, it could actually be offensive for other people. Pero at the end of the day, kahit ito pa offensive sa ibang mga individuals, kung wala ka naman nilalabag na batas, wala pa tayong issue regarding this particular matter. Hindi ka pwedeng basta-bastang gumawa ng batas at ikaso sa isang individual with that certain type of conscience sa gusto mo lang siyang kasuhan because of the expression na kanyang ginagawa. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we all have that certain type of freedom. If you are sabihin natin na offended or violated, maybe there is something wrong when it comes to the idea that you have regarding this specific matter. Okay? Or baka nagkakaroon na tayo ng prejudice when it comes to these particular things. Ito po yun sa mga kailangan natin isipin. Are you offended because of your ideas? Or are you just offended because it is done by an individual that you do not like? Okay, so tingnan din po kasi natin itong mga prejudice and ideas na to. Especially when it comes to the freedom of expression and censorship. Okay? Then for the second one, we have here the presence of privacy and at the same time security. So when it comes to the issue number two regarding privacy and security, it is now providing the issues or the ideas regarding personal privacy or ito po yung mga information natin na maaaring magamit against us. For instance, this information po natin pagdating sa tinatawag po natin na um, house information, okay? Kung saan ka nag-aaral, yung trabaho mo, so on and so forth. Okay? So, yun po yung mga concern po natin pagdating po dito kay personal privacy. So, hindi po dapat ito maaaring maibigay sa ibang mga individuals because basically, this can interfere pagdating po sa buhay natin. Then there's also the presence of privacy of communication. Siyempre, hindi po pwedeng basta-basta ka lang mag-send ng mga screenshots sa mga conversations ninyo ng mga klase mo dun sa mga individuals na hindi naman be-benefit sa mga information na to. Especially if these are information na maaari nga po makasira ng relationship ninyo with other individuals. That's privacy of communication. You don't take screenshots para gawing resibo or ebidensya. Because in the court of law, it is not actually being utilized as a form of a concrete evidence. Kailangan meron pa rin po ito na other na patunay. Okay? So that's the thing when it comes to the privacy of communication. um, it is how we're actually maximizing in these different facets, katulad ng alam po ng messenger, para po dun sa mga concerns natin and grievances with other individuals. Then lastly, there is the presence of information piracy or privacy. The information privacy, it is now involved pagdating po dun sa mga ginagamit po na information natin online. For instance, our passwords. Okay? That's information privacy na hindi po dapat makuha ng ibang individuals because they can hack your phones, they can hack your devices, they can hack your accounts, they can hack your bank accounts, and those other things na hindi po dapat mangyari. Okay? Lalo na po yung sa mga phishing sites and even nga po yung concerns natin regarding the um, faking of identities. Okay? Ilan din po yung sa mga concerns natin sa bagay na ito. So, it is never okay to utilize technology in this different, sabihin natin na negative ways. Then, there's also issue number 3 regarding surveillance and data retention. So, when it comes to surveillance and data retention, meron po tayong tinatawag dito na data valence. So, when data valence, it is now the use of personal information to monitor a person's activity. For instance, yung mga ads po na napapansin natin online. Okay? There's actually a possibility na baka nagkakaroon na pala ng data surveillance pagdating po sa bagay na ito because these are some of the information na unnecessarily na nakikita mo na lang basta-basta lumalabas sa algorithm mo. Okay, yun po yung the case when it comes to data valence. And even when it comes po dun sa terror law na Anti-Terrorism Act or Anti-Terrorism Law, meron din po ditong idea regarding the presence of data surveillance. So, ingat din po tayo pagdating po sa kung ano man yung ginagawa natin in the online world. Then, there's also the presence of data retention. Data retention is the storage and use of information from communication systems. For instance, ito na po yung mga nakasave na passwords ninyo, mga sites na inopen ninyo, nare-retain po yung data natin pagdating dito. And actually, later on, as a form of an output or activity po pagdating sa bagay na to, we will be looking into your, sabihin natin na, digital footprint. Okay? Kung ano man yung mga naiiwan ninyo pagdating sa inyong imprint in the digital world. So later on the link that will be provided po sa mga videos natin, especially on the third part. Okay, so after the third part, I will be providing the link para po dun sa maging activity and at the same time attendance niyo for today. Alamin po natin kung ano nga ba yung nasa digital footprint ninyo, specifically pagdating sa pangalan ninyo if you will be searching this online. So yun po yung ilan sa mga nagiging part ng data retention na maaari nga po magamit against every single one of us. Then, there's also the presence of e-pollutants from e-waste. Kasi syempre, hindi lang po tayo tungkol sa kalat online, but even the physical kalat ay existing. There are actually large amounts of e-waste na nag-generate po ng ICT, lalo na kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng mga bagong gadgets. Okay? Kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng mga bagong computer parts, kapag nagkakaroon dito ng update when it comes to the software, na pati yung hardware, nagkakaroon din ng update. So, there are some of the waste na nagagaling po sa mga PC and laptops na tinatawag po natin na terminal equipment used for computing. For instance, yung AVR, itinapon ninyo yung motherboard, itinapon ninyo ngayon yung mismo desktop computer. Those are terminal equipment used for computing. Then, sa broadcasting naman, bang itinapon na TV, radio sets, and anything na ginagamit nga po sa mga bandwidth na to. Then, telephony, ito naman po yung tungkol sa mga fixed or mga telephones and even the mobile phones. Marami po tayong kalat pagdating dyan. And alam nyo ba, para po sa mga nakakaalam, para sa mga hindi po nakakaalam, um, ang mga medals na ginamit po sa Tokyo Olympics, it is actually from phones. Okay, minelt down na phones, then sila po ay ginamit ngayon sa as a form of recycling, okay, and upcycling na rin ng mga mobile phones na present sa Japan. So yun po yung ginamit nila as materials para dun sa mga medals na ginamit sa Olympics. Then, we also have the presence of the peripherals. Nandito po yung fax machines, printers, and even scanners. So ito po yung ilan sa mga bagay na nagiging kalat, nagiging basura, physical na basura na nakikita po natin. Okay, so that's the thing when it comes to the e-pollutants from e-waste. Then, when it comes to this case, meron, once again, na implications po ito when it comes to teaching and teachers. So, ano nga ba po yung mga dapat natin gawin? So, for the teachers, it is to guide them on what they should teach that relate to ICT. Na pag-usapan na po natin to na kailangan alam niyo kung ano nga ba yung content ng mga videos na ipapapanood ninyo at kung paano nga ba gagamitin itong mga videos na to. Kasi baka meron po itong laman na information na maaari pong makatrigger sa mga estudyante natin. Especially kung pag-uusapan po natin yung harassment, abuse, and even bullying. Then, second thought, the self-explanatory. Third thought, there are rules and regulations that govern the use of technology. Obviously, meron nga po tayong mga batas pagdating sa bagay na yan na pag-uusapan po natin sa last part ng discussion for this lesson. Then, all issues and many more shall be a part of teaching content as teachers, and it will be encouraged to use technology in teaching. At the end of the day, let's encourage each and every one of us and empower everyone sa paggamit nga po ng proper technology. And for the students, for the learners, okay, when it comes to learning, even though it is more advanced in the 21st century, tandaan, meron pa rin po tayo mga ways para mas lalo natin matulungan ang sarili natin. We should always be guided sa kung paano nga ba dapat gamitin ang technology. Learners should not only know the benefits of technology but also know how they can be protected from the hazards of technology na maaari po nitong madala pagdating sa mga buhay nila. And lastly, learners should take advantage of the potential of learning support they can derive, such as development of higher order thinking skills. At the end of the day, learners should learn sa paggamit ng technology. It should maximize your learning, your students' learning, at hindi po dapat ito maging hinder sa kanila para mas ma-achieve nila kung ano nga ba yung dapat nilang matutunan when it comes to that particular topic. It should not distract them, but rather it should empower them. So this is the end of the second part ng discussion po natin for this lesson. The first part po ng chapter number 2. So later on the next video, we will be talking about the last part of the second lesson in TPL 1. So see you on the next video.